In our process of government,
no, I understand. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't there. I'm not saying it wasn't there to be found. But Benny, it was only when Elon Musk and his young team of guys with their sabers got into it, they found this stuff, right, and told people.
They didn't find it. They just they publicized it.
Well, exactly. But that's how the but Sam, that's how the American
Sam,
that's how the American people found out about
authority to cut it.
In today's video, Sam Seder absolutely destroys Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel over their shameless defense of Doge, and not the meme coin, but the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Now, Piers and his panel are out here acting like Doge is some genius plan to cut waste, streamline spending, and save America. But Sam, he's not buying it for a second. From the shady lack of transparency to the fact that it's just another grift benefiting the rich, Sam Seder tears through every single weak argument they throw at him. So let's dive in and watch how Sam Seder shuts down Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel in this heated debate.
Yes. So Congress, Republicans control every house of Congress. They control the presidency. They could pass a bill tomorrow saying, we don't want to fund these things. But what's happening when they cut USAID is you've got literally 400,000 meals for children who are technically wasting away. It's in Africa. Maybe my guests don't care about that. But the fact is that they're sitting in warehouses in Rhode Island and in Georgia right now, food that is pre-digested practically because these kids are starving, and it's sitting in warehouses. It's going bad, and they have no way to ship it.
Okay.
Because USAID has been shut down.
All right, Benny.
I'm sorry.
Benny?
That's not constitutional or legal.
Okay, Benny.
It's incredible. So I've heard the Constitution thrown around a lot here. All right, let's talk about Article 2 of the Constitution. The executive branch has a clause called the vesting clause. The vesting clause makes one single man that is elected by the whole American people the only position in the federal government that has the entire whole of the country elect him is the President of the United States, who is vested with the power to oversee the executive. And that includes congressional spending. That includes the functionaries of the government, including the commander-in-chief. There are appointed judges. There are elected at state and local levels, members of Congress, but only the president is elected by the whole American people. Now, I have a giant map in my studio. I don't know if your production team can pop me up. There it is. This is what America decided in 2024 in a landslide, and with the popular vote, the whole of the American people decided to vest a single man, Donald Trump, to hunt down waste, fraud, and abuse. Because while maybe there are some type of programs that you might view as just, what I view as just is feeding the American people. What I view as just is filling the potholes, educating, healthcare, and the capacity to serve Americans. And so what America voted for was America first, and transgender operas in Chile isn't exactly America first. And to say that USAID was simply—
You've said a lot of words, but you've said nothing. You haven't addressed the Constitution, the Supreme Court cases, the Impoundment Control Act, none of that. You can say that you don't think it's right to feed starving children in Africa. That's your prerogative.
Can we address the feed starving children?
Donald Trump, I can't believe you're going with the starving children. You're going with the starving children.
No, it does. I mean, it does other things that you don't like.
All right, let me.
But it also does this.
Allow the lady in the room to speak, please.
USAID money spent.
Let Gillian have her say.
On feeding starving children or
guys,
in Ukraine in 2014.
Guys, let Gillian speak for a moment. Gillian.
Now, first off, the whole idea that Doge is exposing some secret corruption, that's just nonsense. The real waste isn't a handful of DEI programs or foreign aid. It's in the bloated Pentagon budget, corporate subsidies, and tax breaks for billionaires. But funny how Doge isn't touching any of those. Instead, we're seeing funding slashed for healthcare, food aid, and public services. Actual programs that keep people alive. And Sam calls them out on it. Then they tried to argue that Trump was elected to do this. Except, let's be real, Congress controls spending, not the president. That's how the Constitution works. Sam slaps down every weak constitutional argument they throw at him, providing that this whole thing is just another power grab to funnel money toward the wealthy while screwing over the people who need it most. But do you know what you need? Unbiased news media. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.
Big fan of
The
children,
feeding starving children thing is such a frickin' red herring. So first of all, the vast majority
How
of this
so?
USAID bloat and corruption does not go to that. Second of all, we have children starving here in
denying that
America.
some
But
of it
third
that's
of all,
being
and what you
cut
don't know and what you have not looked into, okay, is that read a book. It's called Save 3 Lives. And it's by the Rodale family. And it has to do with the fact that our big ag companies went into the developed world to addict their soil to our GMO crops. It's a money laundering game. They can grow their crops in their soil far more efficiently and did for thousands of years before ConAgra and Cargill and Monsanto and ADM went in. You just don't know that because you haven't done your homework. So you're like, oh, there's children starving in Africa. When really, it is about billions of dollars going to big ag. That's what that's really about. And I've seen it firsthand when I went to South Sudan and stayed at a refugee camp. So don't play your starving children card. I can't.
Well, listen, it's not my card. It's just simply the reality. And the fascinating thing about
it is your
this,
card, though.
Piers,
Your game is like nobody's empathetic because children are starving.
We are
when
talking
that's
about
not what that's really about.
Let him respond.
USAID is a percentage point, like literally less than 1% of the U.S. budget. But because there is this attitude amongst the, well, frankly, it's not just USAID. I don't like them cutting the IRS. I don't like them cutting the EPA. I don't like them cutting Labor Department. I don't like them cutting the National Labor Relations Board. I don't like them cutting the FDA.
Do you like the level of
USDA?
do you like the level of debt your country's in?
I don't think it's as much of a problem as you do. But here we know the debt shot off like a rocket with the Bush tax cuts and then with the Trump tax cuts, and they want to extend those. And so if we want to deal with the debt, and if that's a genuine concern, we can go back to the time in this country where we had the greatest economic expansion during the 50s and the 60s, when we had a top tax marginal rate of 90% of every dollar that would be earned over $470,000. Today, it would be $3 million. And if these guys are very concerned about the debt and deficit, we have a way of raising that money. We can go back to the greatest economic time of this country. So if that's genuinely their concern, we have that power to do it. I mean, we're not spending, as a function of GDP, we're not spending significantly more per capita than we were in those years. The problem is that we don't have the revenue. There's been huge tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires and presided over by two Republican administrations over the past 20 years.
Sam Seder wasn't holding back in this debate, and honestly, it's hilarious watching Piers Morgan's MAGA panel try to defend Doge like it's some genius solution to government spending. The whole thing is just another way to cut programs that actually help people, while pretending it's about efficiency. And Sam, he sees right through it. MAGA pundits love screaming about the national debt, but guess what? The biggest contributors were Republican tax cuts under Bush and Trump. Sam brings the receipts, pointing out that when America had its biggest economic boom, America had a top tax rate of 90% on the ultra-rich. If they were actually concerned about the deficit, they'd be talking about reversing those massive tax giveaways. But nope. It's always the poor and working class who have to tighten their belts, never the billionaires.
Okay, Benny, on that point, respond.
Piers, I love it. I love it. This is my favorite argument I've ever heard on your show. I love it. Go to the American people. Sam, I beg of you, join the DNC, run for DNC chair. I'll do anything, okay? I want your ideas to be the ideas that Democrats bring to the midterms and to the 2028 election. More IRS agents. Raise taxes to 90% of wages. I love it, Sam.
No,
How do
not
I get
90%
you
of
in the
wages.
chair, man?
90%
How do I
for
do it?
every dollar.
How do I do it? Where can I donate, Sam?
Just send the money to me directly.
It's the greatest argument ever. You're right, Sam.
Taxing millionaires and billionaires actually does quite well in terms of polling. And when Americans see what wealth disparity looks like in this country today, when they actually see the wealth disparity,
yeah, we've seen
it's
wealth
quite
disparity.
popular.
It looks like a federal government that's $37 trillion in debt, spending money on total bullshit.
You don't know what wealth disparity means.
And absolute and total fraud. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You can Google it and find out what it means.
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America, the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.? Can you explain to me, what do those counties do? Are there some mineral deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich industry that's created around Washington? Maybe you can answer me that question. Why are those people so filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does D.C.
You want me to answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich lobbyists for all sorts of these industries that you supposedly have a problem with. I mean, that's where all the money is being made. It's not being made by federal workers. It's being made by lobbyists. And those are sent by corporations. If you will join me as part of my campaign that you're interested in me running the Democratic Party, in calling for Donald Trump to fire all of the lobbyists he's hired so far, it wouldn't leave many people left in the government. But if you'll join me with that, we can start to chip away at that problem you have with the counties around DC.
Now, Sam mentions that back in the 1950s and 60s, the greatest economic boom in US history, the top tax rate was 90% on earnings over today's equivalent of $3 million. And what do the MAGA guys do? They melt down. Suddenly, they're acting like Sam just suggested full-blown communism. But here's the thing. They love yelling about the national debt, yet they refuse to acknowledge that massive GOP tax cut for the rich under Bush and Trump are the biggest reasons for the deficit today. If they actually cared about fixing government spending, they'd look at that. But no, it's always working class programs that need to be cut, never billionaire tax loopholes. At the end of the day, Doge isn't some brilliant plan, it's just another Republican excuse to gut social programs while protecting the wealthy. And Sam, he called them out every step of the way. But this is it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below.